Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make the Orleans bracelet. So this is a really fun bracelet, and you can see that I've mocked up one of my colorways here, so we're going to be doing a color variation for this video. And this uses the ZoliDuos, which are these beautiful purple and teal, the Arcos Parpuca, which are these little sort of crescent shaped, and the ESO beads, and that's ES-O. So these are actually really fun. So we're utilizing a lot of the multi-hole beads. So this is a little bit more of an advanced technique. So if you're not used to working with these just yet, go ahead and check out some of our other videos first. It'll give you a really lovely introduction into using multi-hole beads. So this is going to work up nice and easy actually. We're going to be creating little units and then sort of going back and forth. But the reason I do say that this is a little bit more of an advanced technique is because the way they fit together can be a little difficult if you haven't worked with something like this before. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the ZoliDuos. So ZoliDuos are these 2-hole beads here, and they have these little sort of curved teardrop or similar to like a paisley shape. And what's really cool is that they actually come in a left and a right design so that you can create these little sort of nestled sort of floral paisley patterns. So you can actually see that I sort of mocked up one of my little units here that we're going to be doing. So these are really fun, and they have a curved side on the front, and on the back side they're actually flat. So that's why there is a left and a right. So very cool little beads, and we're going to be working with those today. Now I just want to point out to you, I did pull out a colorway that I'm going to do here, and you can see that it's going to be nice and gold, and it's got the Bordeaux and this beautiful olive. But we do have some other beautiful colors I just want to kind of point out to you real quick. We have some other beautiful pastel alabasters. And then we have some jet and bronze colors that are going to be really lovely. And just some other sort of silver and pink, and these ones are actually really neat. They are etched on the top, so they have a nice little sort of texture to them. Very cool to work with, so we've actually been really enjoying the ZoliDuos here. And if you saw in another video, I made this pair of earrings, and this uses only one side of the ZoliDuos just as to create a nice little swirl pattern. So really fun. And just to kind of show you how the threads are going to work, I put a couple of those ZoliDuos onto some head pins here, and I wanted to use the red so you really got a chance to see it through the back of the crystal. So this is the front of the ZoliDuo, and this is the back. So really interesting that they kind of go through the largest part of the curved teardrop and down again at that little tiny teardrop. So we're going to be working with those today. All right. So what you'll need is you'll need your 4 ZoliDuos. I have the left and the right in the green, and the left and the right in the purple that we're going to be using there. I have ESO beads, and you can see for this colorway, I'm going to be using the same color, but in this one I did a completely different color. We have the Arcos Parpuca beads, which are actually 3-hole beads, so you can kind of see on the bottom curved portion there. And we can flip it over and see that they have 3 holes, so these are going to help nestle some of our beads nicely. And then I'm going to be using some Toho Demi rounds and some Toho 11-Os. Now these are both 11-Os, but those Demi rounds are really perfect because we're going to have some little tiny spaces that I just want to fill up the gap for so that we don't see too much thread. Speaking of thread, I'm going to be using the Fireline in the smoke color, but I also pulled out today the Fireline in the black satin just so you could kind of see them side by side. So really quick, this one here is that black satin, and I recommend using the satin if you're going to be using black beads, but if you're just going to simply be using darker beads, I recommend going with the smoke. But of course, there's always crystal Fireline, and that is what I used to create my original sort of silver colorway here because, as you can tell, I was using some white and silver beads. All right, so we're going to use the smoke Fireline here. Now, if you want, you can try to do this in all one piece of thread. If not, you can just tie off and weave in. But I'm just going to start with maybe about 5 feet or so. Just going to snip that off and simply thread my needle. Now this is a size 12 beading needle. And the reason I'm using 4-pound thread is because we are going to be going through these beads several times. So you want to make sure you don't want to break your thread, but you also don't want to use something that's too thick because it's going to give you some troubles at the end. All right, so we are going to start here by using our ESO beads. Now these might look kind of similar to a super duo. They kind of have the same sort of style, but they're a little bit more cylindrical on the side. So they look a little bit more like an O. All right, so we're going to pick one up here. and slide it down until we have, I'd say, about 12 inches. Because when we're starting this, we want to leave a nice long tail because that's what we're going to use to attach our clasp. All right, so I have my 1 SO bead here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the other direction here. So I'm just kind of trapping that bead. So you can see that I'm coming out the top of that bead there. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to pick up another SO bead. And here's the thing with this, guys. Like I said, it is a little bit more of an advanced technique, but I don't want that to intimidate you. But because of the nature of it, it's going to be a little bit wonky when we get started. And you're going to see that I'm going to kind of struggle a little bit, but I'm going to try to walk you through as best as I can. All right. So I just added on that second bead to the top there. And what's going to happen is I'm going to, again, bridge over the top and kind of come down. So what I'm doing is I'm in essence creating a little unit of 4. So I'm going to pick up another bead that is going to go and sit just to the side of it. So I'm going to try to, okay, so you can see where we're going now, and the thread's coming out the bottom there. And now we're going to add on 1 more SO bead. All right, I'm going to slide that down. All right, and this is going to help to complete that unit of 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my thread around, and I'm going to go through this hole right here, and I'm going to catch the other 2 holes of the other 2 SO beads. So I went all the way through all 3. And this is helping to create that little tight little unit there. All right, and you can see that once I get a chance to tighten it up. All right, there we go. So this is the unit that we're looking for. So I just went down and around, and then up and over, and then down and around, and then up. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through, and this is again why you want to use that 4-pound thread. We're going to go through this bead, and we're going to try to catch the second bead, but not this bottom one here, right where my nail is right there. So we're just going through these 2 beads. Okay? And pull that down. And again, give it a little tug. We don't want it to be too snug, but just snug enough. All right, so now I'm coming out from this bead right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn our thread around one more time, and we're going to come up through that bead. All right, so this is your unit so far. So if your thread looks like this, you've done it right. If you have a little bit of trouble, just make sure that you have your threads coming out the top of the outside holes there. So whatever you need to do to kind of turn your thread around to get it to that point, go ahead and do that. All right, so now we are ready to actually add our beads. So what we're going to do is we are going to add on a Arcos bead, and it's going to sit right in there just like so. So take it and go through the center of the Arcos, so that it comes to sit right there. Now it won't sit perfectly because we still haven't done our second thread bridge, but this is where it should start, okay? All right, so now we are going to pick up 1 of our little Demi round beads. And I'm gonna go ahead and slide that down. Sorry, I'm trying to work really slowly so that you guys can see this really step by step. All right, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna kind of look at my little unit here that I wanna pick up. And you can sort of see from my example, I'm just gonna kind of bring this into frame so that you guys can get a good look at this. There we go. So you can see that the purple beads line up with the purple beads here, give or take. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna string on these 4 beads at the bottom going through their top hole, okay? And I'm going to do this one by one so that I make sure that I'm getting it on the right side of the bead. Because you definitely want to go through and make sure that it is on the right. Okay. There we go. I love how they look like little droplets. They're so cute. All right. So that is sort of the bottom portion of our first piece here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up another demi round. And now we're going to get another arcos in there, but he's going to be facing the other way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the center and face him going outwards. Okay? So this is what your beadwork should look like at this stage. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our thread and we're going to create another one of these little units. Now, depending on how you start it, this part can be just a little bit tricky. All right, so we're going to pick up one SO bead. I'm going to slide that down. There we go. And now, again, the same thing. I'm just going to turn it around. And this is where you want to try to like start to scooch it a little bit closer. Doesn't need to be too tight again. All right, and then I'm going to pick up another one. Slide it down. And now this is where I'm going to do the turnaround here. Okay. So I just went up and over and then down and around. And now I'm going to pick up one more. And this is the one that's going to sit on the side there. And then I'm going to pick up another one. And I'm going to slide that one down. And now I'm going to go through this bead here. Only that first bead, so that's why it took me a couple times to go through. So I'm only going through that first bead there. And sliding that all the way down. All right, oops. And I'm just gonna go back through. I forgot to do the turnaround at the top. So that is what happened there. All right, so let's go back. There we go. So now I need to go back and catch that first turnaround there. I missed that. All right, and if you miss a step, you'll know right away, just like I did. So you just go back and you retrace your step. All right, so now I'm coming out the bottom of that bead right there. So what I want to do is I'm going to turn it around. And this is where you want to kind of scooch everything together. And I'm just kind of pulling the thread with my nail and just kind of scooching around. All right, so now here's what it looks like. I have the thread that's going through, but what's going to stabilize my little unit here is actually going back through that center hole and back through that little demi round, okay? So we're going to pull through. And now you can see, and I'm going to actually kind of spread this apart, and I hope you can see. So on that SO bead, I have one bead that goes down and in, and one bead that goes up and in to that arcos right there. All right, so now we are ready. Let me go ahead and put my work down. All right, so now you can see it's starting to curve a little bit, which is what we want. All right, so now we are going to pick up the other 4 of our beads here. So remember, we just kind of set them up, and you can double check before you add any new beads. All right, so now we're going to go and pick up our beads. And we're going to slide that down. All right, so you can kind of see how that's coming together there. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our thread now, and we're going to go out through this demi round bead, and we're going to go up through the top. Pull that down. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our thread and we're going to go through, because we have our little thread there coming out the bottom of that SO bead, so we want to go up and over, just like we did on the other side. So down here. And now we're just going to make sure that everything is in order. Flip it around, there we go. All right, this is actually why I like the ZoliDuo, is because it does have a front and a back, so you can kind of take a moment to kind of flip everything around and just make sure that everything is nice and secure and exactly where you want it. Okay, so this is our beadwork now so far. So what's going to help us stabilize everything is to add in the little beads in between all of those little ZoliDuos, and that'll kind of keep them from shifting around. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to try to get my tail out of the way. There we go. All right, so now our thread is coming from what should be the bottom of the SO bead there. Just double check my work. There we go. All right. So we're coming out of the bottom there. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a little thread bridge here, and we're going to go up through the other hole and out this top one here. All right, I'm just going to push my needle through. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pick up one of our 11-0 full seed beads, not the demi rounds now, and we're going to go through that first little hole right there on the Arcos bead. So this is going to kind of help to stabilize that section. All right. And next, we're going to pick up, there we go. We're going to pick up a demi round, and we're going to go through that first hole in that purple ZoliDuo that's right there. And we're going to pick up another demi round, and we're going to go through that green ZoliDuo. All right, see how the nice little demi rounds provide a little bit of space? And now we're going to pick up 3 full 11-0 seed beads. Okay, and we're going to bridge that big gap between the 2 here. There we go. And you can kind of see that one of them sits up a little higher, and that kind of gives it a nice little point there. Just a really nice little thing. All right. And then again, with a demi round, going into that purple bead. Another demi round, going into the Arcos bead. All right. And now from here, what we're going to do is take a full Toho, and we're going to go into this hole right here. And we're going to catch actually all 3. I can only catch 2. Don't break your needle. That's not what we're trying to do. So we want to go into that top, and then now I need to kind of get my little needle in there to go through that bottom hole there. So if you can catch all 3 to go through that full little section right there, go for it. If not, do what I did. Don't force it. All right, so now this is what we have so far. So we have to repeat that going back the other way. So I have the 11-0, and I'm going to go into that Arcos. And then I have a demi round. It's going to go into that first ZoliDuo. And here's where you can start to tighten up just a little bit. Don't pull too tight. Don't want anyone to snap a needle or anything. Another demi round. There we go. And again, we're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads. One more demi round. And another demi round. All right. And now one more full seed bead, and again, going into that top one there. And if you can, go all the way down. There we go. So you can see I've caught all 3 little holes there. And now I want to leave this tail on this side, but what I want to do is I want to get it so that we're kind of coming out the other side so that we're ready to start the next unit. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to retrace my thread going all the way back here to get to that other side. And this is again why you don't want to have too much tension, because you won't be able to kind of weasel your needle through this, because there's a lot of different angles happening in this piece, but that is what gives it its nice little structure. So you just kind of want to just go slow. If you can catch 1 bead, catch 1 bead. If you can catch 3, catch 3. It's entirely up to you. And again, don't force it. Like you can see there, I caught 4. And again, we just want to kind of help out our little peak there and just kind of have him sit up nice and tall. All right, and then we're just going to go down through. Again, just only catching a couple. All right, so I'm getting towards this last little unit here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm only going to go through this first bead. And just kind of, you can see I'm just kind of angling my needle backwards to kind of get it through there. And then I'm going to go up through the other side. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a little thread bridge on the inside of my little unit. And then, oops, you know what, I think I want to go back a step. There we go. I want to go all the way down if I can. I take that back. Because I'm trying to get, and this is where if you get lost, just try to get your needle back to where you think you need to start. So I'm going to show you where you're going to want to end. So if you get lost, just get your needle back to this point. So I needed my thread to come out this side, so I had to go through all those one more time. All right, and the final step in a unit is to make sure that your thread is again coming out the bottom side, just like so. So that is one complete unit. So all you do from here is just you pretend that when we started here, just go back and then you'll start by, of course, adding on your Arcos, and then you're going to add the bottom unit, the other Arcos, the top unit, work your way back through and add the little embellishments of the seed beads, and then work your way back to this point. And that is how you do every single little unit. So it's really not that bad. It is a lot of little steps, but I just love the way it is turning out so far. So what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to weave the rest of the bracelet, and then I'm going to come back to show you exactly how to attach the clasp. It's very simple, but I just want to kind of show you the finished product. All right, so I'm going to do that off camera and I'll be back to finish off the clasp. Okay, so I've woven 5 full units here, and I have my tail coming out this side and my needle side coming out this side. So this is where I ended. So to attach the clasp, you can see that it's just going to be the exact same sort of little loop. But before I do that, I just want to show you, I brought out my ruler here just because I know you're going to have some sizing questions. So just to point out, this is about 6 inches. So with the clasp that I'm going to do today, and we're going to, as you can see, we're going to add 3 little seed beads and our little clasp. It gives you just about, almost exactly a 7-inch bracelet. So this is the point where you'd want to either add length or sort of adjust. So if you wanted 7 inches, you're good. If you wanted just a little bit extra, like 1/4 of an inch, add seed beads here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 3 seed beads in our little loop of the clasp. You can add 4 or 5 just to give that little extra length if you want, or if you want a little bit less, you can probably go to 2, but you're still going to want a little bit of a loop there. Alternatively, I just kind of want to show you, and I'll show you on this one, I think it's easier to see the colors. So from end to end of the ESO, it's going to be about 1.5 inches. But from like sort of the center of like if you were going to try to do an extra unit, you're getting just about 1.25 inches or so. So that's how big the units are. So you may not need a whole extra unit. So what I recommend is just kind of adding in the clasp little portion that we're going to do here right now. Okay, so I have a little magnetic clasp, and these are really fun. They're really easy. It actually makes it nice and easy to wear. So I'm just going to go ahead and separate that out. And very simply, I'm going to pick up 3 of my 11-0 seed beads. I'm going to go through the loop there, and I'm going to pick up 3 more 11-0s. Very simply. And then I'm just going to go back through my little loop there and pull that tight. And now to secure it, I'm just going to go around a couple of times. This is where you can kind of go around for as many times as you want to feel secure with this, because again, if you're using a magnetic clasp, you're going to put a little bit of stress on the threads here, and we are using that 4-pound, so just a little note there. All right, so I'm just going to go around. I'm going to say at least 3 times is good. You can probably do more if you wanted to. but this is a nice, easy little quick finishing to the bracelet. And then the magnetic clasp, like I was saying, is just a really nice little sleek option. All right, so I've come all the way around and I've done 3 times. So I have my little loop there. So now I'm just gonna go back through and kind of come around that thread, make a little loop, and tie a little knot and kind of hide it in there. So let's see if I can weasel my thread up there, and we'll go back down. One more. And I'm gonna do a little loop here right in the center, so it's gonna take a little finagling. There we go. Kind of create a little loop. And I just want to make sure it's going to come together for me. There we go. All right. Nice little loop to sort of finish it off. All right, and now I'm going to take my thread zips, or my thread snips. You can also use a thread zap to do this. Just kind of get in there, make sure it doesn't attach to your clasp, and you're all done. So I'm going to flip it over really quick and do the other side. And I'm right-handed, so I'll tend to flip my work over. And now you can see my threads coming out the other side. But it'll be the same loop. There we go. Nice clean end. And this is a really fun technique, and just look at the difference in the color that has happened here. So just by choosing different colors, and it would even look different if I had the purple where the green is. So you kind of get that little sense that you can really make this your own. Very fun to work with the multi-hole beads. There's just so many options, and you can just keep trying to create little units and then find ways to string them together. That's really all this is. I just found this cool little unit that I wanted to make that kind of looked like a little, almost like had a little fleur-de-lis kind of aspect to it, and then just kept making the little units and then found a way to put them together. So just really, really fun. I hope you guys do enjoy working with the multi-hole beads. They offer a lot of dimension, and just by getting the chance to put together a lot of colors, it can really offer some really beautiful designs. All right, so this is my second loop through, and I'm just working speedily because I want you guys to see the official finished product here. And again, this is a really nice little scale. It is slightly advanced just because if you do lose your place, just keep going back through the thread, but you'll kind of learn that as you do more bead weaving. So this is just kind of a nice little sort of round and around kind of option for that. All right, and we're gonna go down through, and we're gonna go back through and create a little loop to tie off our thread. I like to do at least 2 knots just to secure, because again, you are putting a lot of little stress on this thread as you're gonna wear it, so you don't want your pieces to wear out. So again, and then just kind of coming back through and creating a little loop that we're just gonna tie in. All right, and coming up one more time. There we go. Taking off my needle, getting my little thread snips in there. There we go, snip. And we are good to go. So that is how you make the Orleans bracelet. It's really fun, lots of little ZoliDuos. We have our Arcos, we have our SO beads, and a really fun little piece to wear. And it clasps nice and easy. Oops. There we go. Nice and easy. So really fun to wear, and it's a nice little sort of scale just to show off your bead weaving. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. You can get all of these supplies and see even more videos, of course, at Beadaholique.com.